Hey, this is Brian. Welcome back to The Disturbing Illusion. Thank you for liking and sharing these videos. Don't you hate how China controls all of our politicians? I mean, they make them go to the Great Wall of China and touch it and swear allegiance to the CCP. What is going on with that? Along a similar vein, the formation of a new threat category seems to be emerging: anti-tech violent extremism. The federal government seems to be targeting anti-AI data center activists, and we can really rightly call them anti-surveillance or robotics human replacement centers. There's a new article out in Wired that says U.S. law enforcement warns of anti-tech extremism as AI hatred grows. And why would anybody dare hate AI just because they're going to replace your jobs, put you in the poorhouse, increase more power and wealth for the tech bros like Kevin O'Leary and Sam Altman, Sergey Brin, Larry Ellison, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk? Says, as Americans stew over the looming risk of job-stealing AI and data centers, surveillance and control centers in their backyards, the feds are raising the alarm about a new category of threat. And if true, this is a little alarming. In the wake of attacks on CEOs, a nationwide protest movement targeting data centers, and increasing concerns about AI job replacement, federal intelligence agencies and domestic law enforcement are circulating reports that a new domestic target is in mind: anti-technology extremists. More than 1,000 pages of unpublished reports from the Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and fusion centers obtained by Wire show a national shift taking place to surveil this and worrying broad categories of people and activities deemed an emerging threat. And it's always like this. You always have to pit the government against the people. And the government, they say, is trying to create this technology to protect us from the advancing technology in China. And if you don't want this, then you must want China to succeed. And if you want China to succeed, then you must be a Chinese CCP operative, like Kevin O'Leary said those two girls in Utah are. This new effort follows President Donald Trump's National Security Presidential Memo 7, which instructs the Department of Justice to target anyone holding anti-American, anti-Christian, and anti-capitalism beliefs, also anti-Zionist, don't forget that. Earlier this month, Trump's counterterrorism czar Sebastian Gorka released a public counterterrorism strategy claiming that left-wing extremists are one of the top 3 counterterrorism priorities facing the United States. Can you imagine Americans using their voice to exercise their freedom of speech, which is supposed to be protected by part of the supreme law of the land, which is the First Amendment, are going to be viewed as extremists if they raise their voice in opposition to data/surveillance control and punishment centers? Because you know why they're increasing this? They're increasing these data centers so that they can increase their power to control you and to surveil you and to micromanage every aspect of each one of our lives. It says, taken together, these Trump administration directives have commandeered the domestic surveillance apparatus to surveil and criminalize speech and assembly that challenges the ideology of the White House. A new focus on anti-technology extremism adds an unreported category to already public designations under a presidency that is heavily invested in political and material capital in AI and data center proliferation. Among the documents in the tranche obtained by Wire is a New York Intelligence and Counterterrorism Bureau report that warns of widespread upheaval in response to AI adaptation. Of particular note is a novel term for what the Bureau portrays to be an emerging extremism threat. And if they can convince the people that you are a threat to progress, to technology, to national security, then they've achieved their goal of vilifying you, which gives them the justification that they need, or at least the cover story that they need, to put you down or to put you into a cage or maybe even to disappear you. The report reads, the chaotic atmosphere that may result from emergent AI technology in the next 5 years may fuel large-scale protests that devolve into civil unrest and anti-tech violent extremist activity, especially in large urban areas like New York City. The term anti-tech violent extremism does not appear in any publicly available DHS or FBI domestic extremism reports or guides and represents a novel grouping of a wide range of ideologies under a single extremist category. And I want to move down a little further into this article and just delve into this right here. A report from the North Virginia Regional Intelligence Center warned that AGAAVEs, or anti-government, anti-authority violent extremists. Government is violence. How can you be anti-violent and a violent extremist at the same time? If you're truly anti-government, you're anti-slavery. You remember what George Washington said? The government is not eloquence. It is not reason. It is what? It's force. It's violent. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. How is it bad to be anti-crime? Government is crime. How is it bad to be anti the initiation of unjust force and violence? That's what the government is. It is the initiation of unjust force and violence, because this is what we got to do. This is what the laws are. This is what the policy recommends. This is what the law enforcers have to obey, because that's what the policymakers wrote down. Government is violence. Every law, every rule, every ordinance, every regulation is backed by the barrel of a government gun. So it is, in and of itself, violence. Influenced by government-related grievances and conspiracy theories, have engaged in pre-operational planning, targeting data centers and other critical infrastructure facilities to disrupt government operations. Now, I would say that if you're going to plainly write out on the internet what you plan to do on these data centers, you are not acting in wisdom. You can say whatever you want, but you should really expect a knock at the door if you're posting anywhere on the internet that you plan an attack on any one of these centers. But in the breakdown of suspicious activity reporting indicators, the intelligence report lists activities that could easily be carried out by peaceful protesters, according to legal experts. And you've seen that time and time again. They conflate what the evil people are doing with what the peaceful people are doing, and they just group them all together and attack both groups in the name of, hey, in the interest of national security. Or behind the curtain, they go, hey, this is a serious crisis, whether it's organic or whether we made it up. We need to take advantage of this crisis, and we can't let this good crisis go to waste. We need to do this in the interest of national security. So let's go ahead and build those FEMA camps, and let's make sure that these FEMA camps are filled with dissidents. Says these intelligence reports are part of a long tradition of agencies identifying protests or even simply having strong opinions as precursors to violence. Suspicious activities reports are incredibly unreliable, often about vague or innocent behavior, and we see cops, FBI, CIA, they specialize in capitalizing on these vaguely written statements and documents. Issued under permissive standards, these reports, often received in large volumes, allow officers to inject their own biases and see what they want to see in the facts. And you can see that with just the Fourth Amendment. You have the right to be secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects, but because of Supreme Court rulings like Terry v. Ohio and Pennsylvania versus Mims, cops actually believe that they have the authority to trample your constitutional right, your clearly articulated constitutional right to be secure in your person. They can trample that because the Supreme Court said, I can drag you out of the car. The Supreme Court said, I can put my hands on you because I reasonably suspect that you just might commit a crime, bucko. Among the vaguely defined activities flagged by the Northern Virginia Intelligence Center as suspicious are expressed or implied threat, observation or surveillance, photography, testing and probing security, and attempted intrusion. I'm sure one day they'll add to that list obstruction of your face, because you don't want to be surveilled. If you express online somewhere, for example, that you're highly dissatisfied with the construction of all these flock security cameras going up all over the place, and you post a meme, don't tell all the homeless people that there's this much gold, this much silver, and this much copper in every single one of those flock security cameras, because we don't want them to take those cameras down so that they can support their drug habits. You may be put on the list of dissidents that get the knock on the door, the cuffs on the wrists, and the ride to the jail. The FBI investigates individuals who commit or intend to commit violence and criminal activity that constitutes a federal crime or poses a threat to national security. And that's what they will always use. You imposed a significant, suspicious threat on national security. Therefore, we've got to pay you a visit, and your rights have to be trampled because we got to keep the people safe. And let me give you the last paragraph to this, which I really want you to think deeply on. Perhaps the clearest cut example of how nonviolent critiques of technology can be swept up along with threats is found in an open source report circulated by Site Intelligence in April of 2025. The report flags a video from the progressive nonprofit More Perfect Union on the destructive effects of a data center to nearby residents in Georgia. Nothing in the video advocated for violence against property or people, but thanks to Fusion Center targeting, the advocacy group is now circulating among U.S. intelligence and law enforcement across the country as a potential threat vector. That's all you got to do. All you have to do is point to the truth, tell the people there's a danger, maybe list some areas where these cameras are and the surveillance equipment is and this technology might be located that causes a danger to society. And now you are a potential threat vector. I'm starting to think that China and the CCP is not our most formidable foe. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the thought police in the comment section below. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. This is important stuff. We got some crazy developments coming on the horizon. If you want to support this channel, you can do it for free by liking this video, sharing this video, subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell notification icon, maybe even becoming a channel member. I will see you in the next video.